doing today? Welcome to my photography live stream where we talk about photography and answer any questions you may have. I like to leave the conversation open to the audience to drive the conversation. Um, I'll start it off with a few things. Happy Easter, everyone. Thanks for being here today. And well, I'm exhausted. I've been shooting like starting at 8 a.m. yesterday to about 9 o'clock last night to starting today at 4 a.m. to just about an hour before I started the stream, and I've been kind of culling images from this morning's shoot. I went to Conowingo and did some eagle shooting. It was fairly warm, but it got colder it- later in the morning, and it was cloudy, so the lighting was terrible, and so I didn't get too many good shots. But I got a couple that are okay. We'll see. I'll show you a couple. I posted a few. I did some quick edits, and yesterday I did a model shoot. Again, I was sort of like the secondary photographer. I was more there as a mentor, helping them with the flash photography. But I squeezed a few shots in of the models there. But the setup, the costume, and the overall design of the shoot was all the other photographers. It was their shoot and their vision for what they wanted to do. So I just did the best I can to pull out a couple of shots that are a little closer to my style, but it's not exactly what I would shoot. But they're an award-winning photographer, and I'm not. So who am I to say what is good or not? Uh, what she does, her work that she does, is really good when she's done editing every. Um, and oh, I'm sorry, I'm so tired. I'm running on like maybe 8 hours of sleep over the last 2 days. And let's see what else is going on. Uh, so I've been shooting with the OM3 and my new gimbal setup. I'll talk a little bit about that. Right now, I got kind of some pros and cons with it, but it's partially because I this is really the first effort I've made to use. I'll show it to you real quick. It's this thing here where you mount your camera over here and put on a monopod and just go nuts with it, right? And a lot of people just praise the heck out of that. Love it. And I can say that I like it right now. For birds that are kind of flying around in the air, I'm pretty good with. But the problem I was having today is that when the eagles would dive down, catch the fish, uh, I would lose them. Whereas when I'm hand holding, my OM3 and 300 f4, I really don't have any problems. I'm pretty good at just line of sight, bip. I can get the bird in the frame and just follow it the whole way. Whereas I don't quite have a feel for, when I have the bird in my line of sight, I get it in the frame up here, but then when they start to move, I just don't have a feel for following the bird as well as I do when I'm just hand holding. So I'm gonna keep practicing with this because one of the things I noticed is because I missed a few really good shots today with the bird, the eagle catching the fish out of the water. Was when I took it off the gimbal, so I said, okay, let me take it off the gimbal for a while and see if I can get at least one or two great shots, right? Uh, suddenly, man, that 300 f4 felt like a felt heavy. It's like, man, this is heavy because when you have it on here, of course, the monopod is holding all of the weight, and all I have to do is kind of guide it. And then as soon as I took it off of that, I could feel the weight of the system. And and the 300 f4 is by no means super heavy lens, right? The whole setup is very, very lightweight, compact for what it is. But it was a pretty big difference. So Again, it's right now, it's for me, it's a trade-off between dealing with the size and weight over a couple of hours versus using the gimbal where I'm not dealing with the size and weight at all. I'm struggling a little bit with the tracking. But I think that'll come. Once I get a feel for the tracking and on a gimbal, I think I'll get some really good shots and have a little more endurance over time and less wear and tear on me holding the camera setup. Like I said, I never noticed it before, but and my arms started getting tired. I was and anyhow, so right now I'd say still this is a good buy, a good investment because it does work really well. Just tracking birds in the sky. I got pretty good at that pretty quickly, but it was just when they would dive down, that angle of motion is not the same as when you're using your own body, right, and arms. So that's where I was struggling a little bit, and a lot of people say their images are a little sharper, when they're using the gimbal. I can't speak to that yet because I haven't called through all the images yet, but they're looking pretty good. I'll share a couple of those. I posted a few on my Flickr already. Let's see. So here's one, just a quick one. Uh, this was most likely I was using the gimbal, and it's an okay shot. It's from the back, not great. And then this one here, this one's pretty heavily cropped, but this came out pretty good. Shots like this on the gimbal are very, very easy. No problem at all with these kind of shots. And then this one was handheld, and that's a cormorant or gore. I don't know what that is. It's one of those birds. And then this one here, this one was on the gimbal, but I was sitting on some rocks. And again, I got the bird in the frame initially, but then when it moved, I couldn't track it, so I missed a couple of good shots of him, kind of flipping the fish up, trying to get it in his mouth to swallow it. So I missed a couple of good shots there because I couldn't get the gimbal in the position or angle that I needed to capture that shot. So this is where the gimbal is I'm struggling a bit still. So I think with a little more practice, I'll get better at that, and then maybe I'll be a full convert to using a gimbal uh, like this. But that's that. And so just watch my Flickr page and my Instagram page, and I probably won't be able to post any more today because I got another shoot at 5 o'clock. So I may have to end the stream a little bit sooner than usual. Uh, okay, so that's that. But let me go into the chat here and see what's going on here. I see Darko's here. Good to see you. Happy Easter. Thank you. And you're going to be posting some more to the Flickr community. Okay, cool, cool. And let's see. Happy Sunday, Darko. Good to see you, Eric. Oh, hey, Eric. How are you? Good to see you. Stop to get some McFat. Oh my God, I got the worst breakfast ever on the way there. I stopped at the gas station to get some coffee and a sandwich. Man, $12. I couldn't believe it. It was like $6 for this burrito thing, which was soggy, it was nasty, and uh, $5 for coffee. I was like, come on, nothing fancy. Just normally I get these canned coffees for like two for $6. I had to pay one was $6. Oh, and then I went to this like two-star restaurant for like a legit breakfast, and they had this buffet of pancakes and bacon and the typical American breakfast. And it's my stomach has been gurgling ever since, so I may have to end the stream early for that reason also. I'm not sure I can make it through sitting here. Um, but yeah, I'm feeling totally disgusting right now. Man. Um, let's see, I see Steve is here and Zoltan, good to see you. And I think Steve, you're actually in the MU43 or Micro Four Third forum. Because I was running I run through the Micro Four Thirds forum time to time just to see everyone's feedback and opinions on different things and different issues they might be having. And, I learned a lot from the forum about our cameras and about photography. So it's good to see you here. I know you've been coming a long time, but I'm just now making the connection between you here and you in the Micro Four Thirds forum after all this time. So it's good to see you here. And David Crooks is here. Good to see you, Dave. David and I drove together today up to Conowingo, so I can't wait to see the images you got. He was shooting with his 150 to 600 millimeter lens, and he's also a gimbal convert. I think he likes it more than I do, but the 150 to 600 is like twice the weight of my 300 millimeter f4. So, uh, all the more reason to use a gimbal with a lens like that, because that would be a pain to handhold that the entire 2 hours we were there. We were almost there 3 hours almost. Tim Adams, good to see you. Sebastiano, good to see you. Or Sebastiano, I'm sorry. I pronounced that wrong. Great Vanzini, Zoltan. Ooh, okay. Ken Cox and Marcia, good to see you. And Encrypted with my favorite number there. And let's see. Phil Neath, good to see you from New York. Or York, UK. I'm sorry. Like I said, really tired. And Jeff Painter had a weird moment with my OM3, turned it on and no image. Ooh, that is weird. But they probably, if I haven't run into any problems, but just like when the OM1 first came out, there was some glitches and the firmware seemed to fix all the problems I've had with it in the past. Something similar to where you turn it on and nothing happens or freezes. Darko, good to see you. Happy Easter. And you're gonna go out and do some bird photography. Awesome. Good luck with that today. And, let's see. And hello, Rob and everyone. Hope you're well. Yep. Good to see you again. Let's see. My chat jumped up. Ken Cox, I'm John. Oh, Randy, good to see you. Oh, hey, Randy. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate that. So it's a lot of ways to support the channel. Might as well talk about it now. Is you can become a member for 99 cents. It's the minimum, lowest, and the highest. It just supports all the work that I do here on the channel and also offline with the photo clubs. And like I was mentoring another photographer yesterday in the field, and 99.999% of the time, I don't charge anything to anyone for any help that they might ask for. So your support is really appreciated. Your donations, your memberships, your likes, subscriptions, all of that helps me to do everything that I do here on the channel and uh, also in the field, and and pay for like these disgusting burritos and 2-star breakfast. Yeah, that was rough. I mean, I think relative to the area that we were in near Conowingo, it was probably a 5-star restaurant, but uh, relative to what we can get around here, it's barely 2 stars. Service was fine. I mean, it was a buffet, so it's self-service. I will say the coffee cups were clean, so it's a solid 2 stars, not like a weak solid 2 stars 'cause the coffee was good and the cups were clean, and so was the silverware. And let's see, see, and you found some challenges and missed the eagle when it snatched a fish. Yeah. So I think you and I are both gonna have to get used to working with the gimbal in the downward direction, because when you're kinda eye level and higher, it seems to be pretty easy. It's like when you kinda go down, that's where I'm kinda losing the, I'm losing the line of sight and tracking. And selling one of my X's to help offset the OM1 Mark One. Yeah. No, trust me, you won't regret that. You won't miss, let me rephrase that. You won't miss the OM1X. If you have two, especially if you have two, you won't miss it at all. But yeah, getting the OM1, that is a fabulous camera. So I will say, I've been using the OM3 for birding, and it does feel a little better than the OM1. Maybe not though. The buffering is a little bit weaker. I haven't it just felt weaker. I haven't really, uh, done any kind of objective or testing to compare the buffers between the OM1 Mark One and OM3. But the OM3 has a slightly smaller buffer, but it didn't feel quite as snappy. I'm not sure, uh, what it is. Partially, I think because I was shooting at 50 frames per second, and towards the end of the outing, I switched to 25 frames per second. Because I came home with, like, 4,000 shots. God, that's insane. But, so I got this grip for it. It's a very, it's I'd say it's a medium grip. It's not small, it's not large, it's kind of a smallish medium grip, and, it's very small compared to the OM1 grip, but as far as grips go that are available for the OM3, this is sort of a medium, and, even on the gimbal, my hand got a little bit tired because the grip is just a little bit too small for navigating when I'm doing birding. So for serious birding, and this is nothing new, right? The OM1 or OM1 Mark II is the better choice. The grip does make a difference because when you're tracking and trying to follow birds, uh, I found myself gripping this very, very tight and trying to get around. It partially might be because of the fact that I was on a gimbal and I'm not used to the gimbal. So I might be kind of overcompensating a bit as well, but I think if I had the all-in-one, I would have been more comfortable overall. I mean, it wasn't bad, but this grip is not gonna cut it really, I think, for these large lenses and managing, even on a gimbal. But again, that might be me overcompensating a little bit because this is really the first time I've taken the gimbal out, hardcore. I took it out once before for some light birding, nothing serious, but today I was trying to really, really going for it, and trying to really get used to it. I did that, and funny story. Well, not really funny, but I was like, okay, this is a good chance to take out my Deluxe 8 uh, for some just to get a few snaps because I can just wear this around my neck. It weighs nothing, right? A great little point and shoot. And I accidentally picked up my LX100 Mark II, which is, for all intents and purposes, the same camera. They look so much alike. I just picked this up by accident instead of my Leica. And anyway, I got a few shots off this. I did some panos with it, and I took some shots of the restaurant. Oh my God, that place was thirsty now thinking about it because it was just the coffee was good. I'll give him that. Coffee was that was it. And let's see. Could not afford the OM3, but what a camera. Yeah, I'm seeing on eBay now for about 1,700 or less with the kit lens, the 12 to 45 f4 Pro, like 1,800, from Japan. That's a steal. That's a steal. I mean, you're getting an amazing camera for, 1,800 bucks with the lens, 1,700 without the lens, but you might as well get the lens with it if you don't have it already. The OM3 is really, were it not for one or two little things, that could easily replace the OM1 and my Pen F, no problem. Because it does everything both those cameras do. It does more than every does more than what the Pen F does and a little bit less than what the OM1 does. Uh, and the deal breaker for me for making that really, if it were gonna be my only camera, is, uh, the fact that it doesn't have the flash sync port, and it doesn't have the, remote port, so you can plug in a, external intervalometer, third party, that's programmable. Uh, the dual card slot thing is not really a deal breaker, but that's missing that too would make it a little harder for paid jobs because I kinda like that redundancy, and I have a workflow for that redundancy that works well for me, so I'd be missing that. That's not as big a deal as the other 2 things to make it my only camera, but it really is a fabulous camera. And, let's see. Oh, you got the grip. Yeah, I got the grip. I got a good deal on the grip. I got it for, like, 200 $250. It was, like, $100 off one day, and I got a good deal on it. Um, I think the OM3 is the new Pen F. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. It replaces the Pen F. I mean, it's not a Pen F, but it's the closest we're gonna get, I think. Oh, cool. Yeah, I can't wait to see it on the OM1 because, with the M1X, I played with that for a couple of weeks, and it was the first camera to have, like, the bird subject detect, and it works pretty well, but the problem is it combines tracking and subject detect. You can't separate those 2. And I found that tracking is not terribly reliable. Now, to be fair, I haven't tried the tracking on OM3 because I'm just in the habit of not using it at all. But the subject detect is really good, really, really good. Oh, Ellie, she's doing good. She's doing well. Thanks for asking. Okay, and let's see. Let me show you a couple other pictures I talked about today. Uh, so there's the eagle, another eagle. This is a juvenile eagle. Uh, whatever this is, I can never pronounce the name of the thing. This was, let's see, I took the Sony out because I'm testing a new lens. There's a couple of pictures there, nothing special. This though I'm 3 in a high-res shot mode, uh, 80 megapixel, and the full resolution is on my Flickr. So if you want to see this in full res, where it's like 10,000 pixels wide over there. And I did some close-up photography with the 12 to 40 Pro. I also did some in-camera focus stacking. And I can see some minor artifacts here from the focus breathing that you get when you're doing in-camera focus stacking. So a little editing, I could have fixed that, but I don't like to spend a whole lot of time editing. I just adjusted the brightness and put it out there. This is another in-camera focus stack. It did a really good job here. And again, another in-camera focus stack. And one more in-camera focus stack. So we had the azaleas out yesterday, so I went and did the azaleas yesterday morning and some other flowers. This is the Sony, so this is just a straight up shot. And this one is from the Sony. I was testing the lens here. Um, this is okay. This is what I mean about the overall visual design of the set. This was in a parking lot uh that had these bushes. So we used the bushes as the backdrop. And then she used this red, cloth with red gloves, so this is kind of the theme of her shoot overall. I can't wait till she's done, with her total project here. This one here, this is with the OM3, um, and the 12 to 40 Pro, it looks like. And I just used, uh, one flash in an octabox and took this picture. It's just a small 22-inch octabox, very portable setup. Here's another shot from the OM3, and she wanted she didn't like to show her whole face, so we used her, the other model's hands to cover. Um, and another nice shot of her. Um, this is the OM3 with the Octabox, and I used Nick collection to sort of give it this more filmic look, I guess. I also used the a 1/4 mist filter, and this one is with the Sony. So these shots here, not this one, but like this one and this one, all the ones that I shot with the OM3, I actually used a 1/4 black mist filter, and just to soften it a little bit without doing much more in post processing. And I kind of like it. It didn't it didn't seem to affect the details at all, but it did soften the image a tiny, tiny bit. It's very, very subtle. I thought it'd be a little more dramatic, but it's very, very subtle. The effect that the quarter mist filter had. So I think for all my future portraits, I'm gonna use the quarter mist black mist filter because it softens everything tiny, tiny bit. I really like. Hey, and let's see. So that was the flowers, the models, the birds. So those are the three shoots I did since yesterday. Feels like nonstop. Um, but okay. Let's see. And I still not given into gas, can't justify the expense. Still join the M1 Mark II, the M5 Mark II, and a variety of Lumix and Olympus Prime. Yeah, absolutely. Nobody needs a new camera. It's just gas, or I like to call myself a collector. um, Trying out some new backyard feeders for the new cam. Cool. And and sometimes my backyard is dark. Yeah, definitely use flash with your backyard birding. It makes a big difference. And oh, Andrew's here. Hey, Andrew, how are you? That's probably the movement rather than breathing. I find it makes many stacking errors. Oh, yeah, that's true. It was a little bit breezy there, so that could be the case. I've been watching your all-in-one vids, really helpful heads up. Oh, great, great. I'm glad you find them helpful. Sam John has a question. Says, does anyone here got experience with the Sigma 56 1.4 and MFT? I might trade it on the 45. 1.8 for it and get it for 250. I do not like the manual focus on the 45. It feels very inaccurate. Okay. I have the 56, but it's for my Fuji. I don't have it for the Micro Four Thirds. But I've only heard good things about that lens. And honestly, I haven't used it that much because it's on my Fuji. It's been months since I've touched that camera, really. But yeah, if anyone has any experience with that, feel free to share. But everyone seems to love it, but I can't speak to the manual focus at all. Um, and looking forward to the OM1 for old lenses with the new EVF. Yeah, new EVF is nice, especially when you punch in and check critical focus. It's a lot nice. Okay. Nothing came in on questions. All right, that's fine. So let's see. I'll talk about maybe some other challenges that I've had to overcome with the shoots. So Andrew mentioned the one thing about the flowers in motion because of the wind. So there was a little bit of a wind, even in the fraction of a second it takes to stack the images, or like 1 second it takes to stack. Uh, the flowers can move quite a bit, and that will contribute to the artifacts that we saw in images. Not in addition to the lens's natural focus breathing. I will be getting the 60 millimeter macro tomorrow. Uh, so it's been what? 9 years I've been shooting Olympus, and I haven't bought that lens yet, but I finally got it. So I'm gonna get that tomorrow and start doing some hardcore, macro, which reminds me, uh, I wanna plug the retreat that, uh, my peers, they're all system ambassadors, but, uh, they're excellent photographers and educators with tons of experience, and they're hosting a 3-day retreat here in Alexandria, Virginia, which I'll be attending as a student, and, I have links to that in the, description of this video below. If you wanna check it out. It's $6.99 for 3 days, so $699, and there's a $50 coupon code, down there as well for my viewers, so, take advantage of that if you decide to go. I, of course, can highly recommend it. I think investing in yourself is just as important as investing in kind of gear. So, 6.99, it'd be like 6.49 with the coupon. That's less than what most lenses cost brand new. So I think you're investing in yourself and your photography, just as important as investing in kind of gear, if not more important. Okay. Uh, Randy said, I've had the 60 millimeter for years. I put the 1.4x and 2x teleconverters and extension tubes for near microscopic shooting. Yeah, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try with the 1.4 and some extension tubes, and I also got a Rainax, 2x diopter that I can put on the front. So I have a lot of different options. And Semjon says, I actually have one question. Is there a way to set minimum shutter speed on the OM5 and aperture priority? I thought you made a video about that, but I couldn't find it. I know you can set the minimum shutter speed for, I don't have the OM5. What's the closest thing I got? Uh, Not really the M5. I guess it would be the M5 Mark III is the closest thing I have to an OM5. And I'd like to show you, but I can't. I'm using it now for the stream. Where's my trying to think off the top of my head there. Where you want to look for minimum shutter speed, it would be the same menu as the auto ISO setting. That's where you would look for it. Let me see. Let me see what happens if I press the menu button here. Okay. Let's see here. So if we go down to the custom menu and now the OM5 menu is gonna be a little different because it's a newer camera. It's capture, maybe it's in the exposure. Exposure shift, ISO step, turn the chat off for a second. Yeah, you would set it here, something like that. So yeah, go into menu E1 or the exposure menu in the ISO auto set, and that's where you would set it. Okay. Hopefully, let me know. Whoops. Let me know if that worked. But I think that's where you would set it. Okay. And the Great Vanzini says, love the 60. And the Ali teleconverters don't work with the 60 macro. Not directly, but what people have done is they put extension tubes on, which creates that gap that you can fit the teleconverter. So you'd put the teleconverter first, and then you would put an extension tube on the front of the teleconverter, and then you would put the 60 macro. That's what I've seen people do. Uh, I don't know how good the images are gonna be after you kinda do all of that, but that's what I've seen people do, so I'm gonna try that. Let's see. Uh, they do work with the 90 macro. Yes, the 90 macro lens will natively accept the teleconverter, but I just could not spend $1,000. I could get it used for 1,000. I got the 60 millimeter macro used for $314 plus tax, so it came out to like 330. But yeah, 1,000, and it been with tax and everything, I was gonna be up closer to 1,100. I couldn't do it. I wanted to. Maybe one day I will, but I can't do it now. I just spent a boatload of money on cutting trees down. Oh, the trees. And David Allen asks, "Which camera is more fun to shoot with, the OM1 or the" oh, definitely the OM3. The OM3 is definitely a lot more fun. Uh, for a couple of reasons, primarily for the aesthetics. Camera is just, I think, a much more attractive camera and inspires me to go out and shoot, and it's just fun to take pictures with it and holding the camera and just using it just because of the aesthetics. From a functional standpoint, the creative dial, I don't use very much. I do like to put it in the black and white mode sometimes and mess with the color filters. And so from that sense, it's more fun. That's not, it's, you can do the same thing more or less in the OM1, but not to the degree and flexibility that the OM3 offers, because you can do adjustable color filters, whereas the OM1 has fixed color filter, red, orange, green, and something else. It has four. You also have grain option, which I don't use, but uh, for me personally, the black and white dial is is the primary thing that makes it fun from a feature standpoint, and the main thing though being the aesthetics of it. It's just a gorgeous camera. Okay. Uh, I mean, I got this honking 300 millimeter f4 on here now, but it's mainly the aesthetics. And now I got this grip on here, gives it a little flair, you know. uh, so it's my fancy pants camera. This is my Leica, you know. You want to talk about fancy cameras? This is the Leica version for OM system. Okay. And let's see. Marcia has a question. It says, I ran into Lisa and Tom Couture this morning at the, oh, really? In the wetland here in Boynton Beach. You'll see them in 2 weeks. Yes. Oh, that's that's awesome. Wow, what are the odds of that? It's a small world. And the super control panel. I'm not sure what we're referring to there. It says, at Rob Trek, my SPC vanished today, replaced by the side menu. I have not changed a thing in the settings. Is my EM1 marked? No, just push the info button. It should toggle between them. So there's also a setting in the menu that can disable the super control panel. It's in the D menu, display menu. But when you're in the, you click the OK button and you get the sidebar menu. Click the info button and it should toggle back to the super control panel. If that doesn't work, then the super control panel has been disabled somewhere in the menu, and most likely in the D menu. Uh, Again, I don't know if I can show that on the E5 Mark III. The D menu, control settings, info settings, playback in live view. Now, control set. PASM, yeah, the live control. This is the live control where everything's on the side, and then there's the SCP, the super control panel. So if I enable this, so yeah, go into the D menu control setting. That should do it. So uh, super control panel won't show while I'm live. Yeah. I can't demo that particular feature live, but I did show you where it is in the menu. That's probably all. Okay. Simjan says, thanks. It seems to work. Someone online said it was under the flash menu, but it's under the ISO setting. Yeah, that's where it is. Yep. Let's set the minimum shutter speed. Okay. I use that time to time, so that's why I was able to kind of recall that pretty quickly. Let's see. Only works with Pixco extension tubes, but the 10 millimeter on TCs. Okay. I have FOTGA and Mikey extension tubes. So we'll see. We'll see if they work on those. I don't have the Pixco ones. I can't imagine why it would not work on any generic extension tube, though. And Simjan says, I just wish the OM3 had retro style control dials with exposure compensation, shutter speed, etc., like the Fuji or the TF. Yeah, I mean, from yeah, they probably could have done it, but there'd be a little bit of compromise relative to the other OM system cameras and how they operate. So it wouldn't be a smooth transition. If somebody's already used to OM system cameras, then they pick up a camera that has shutter mode dials. Because part of the problem is a lot of the lenses for OM system do not have aperture, right? And that's part of the whole workflow of having shutter speed, aperture, exposure compensation dials. In terms of workflow, the mode dial, the way it is now, PASM, plus the 5 custom mode dials, right? 5 custom settings. These are all specific to the workflow of OM systems. So it'd be quite a bit of a change in the menu system. They'd have to make in addition to the workflow that OM system users would have to make in using the camera. So I think it would have caused a lot of frustration with existing user base to go from what we've always been using, the PASM dial with custom modes, to something that's more Fuji-like with the shutter speed dial. And particularly if the lenses have no aperture ring on, kind of the whole workflow is broken at that point. You want to go full on vintage. And I get it. You know, they could program and make everything work like that, where you would just use a dial instead of a ring on the lens to control the aperture, which is what we do now. But again, they'd have to make significant workflow changes in the menu, and then the user would have to make significant workflow changes between cameras. Whereas now the workflow between, say, an OM1 3 is very fluid. There's very little difference between the two. And why didn't I know that? Oh, well, you probably never ran into that problem before. Trust me, it happens to me all the time. You guys are always asking me questions that I've never run into before. And I have to figure it out sometimes, you know. It's like, read the manual kind of thing. And a lot of times a manual doesn't spell it out either because it's a workflow where you do one thing, it affects this other thing, and the manual doesn't always tell you that these two things are interconnected, or related, or have some impact on each other, right? Or influence. So, yeah, don't worry about it. It's nothing. That's nothing. I bet probably at least half of the viewers here today have never seen that side control panel outside of the movie mode, because that's the control panel you use in movie mode. But to use it in photo mode, That is a menu system that was used in the very old Olympus cameras like EP1, EP2. That's what they used before they came up with a super control panel. And rather than eliminate it, and again, alienate people that are used to the Olympus workflow as it was then, they kept it, but they had checkboxes, right? They had an option in the menu to turn that on and off. Now, I will say that the sidebar menu does give you a couple of options Super Control Panel does not, which may or may not be used. Don't ask me what they are now. That's a little bit too much into the fine print for me on when I'm really tired like today. But, if you've never seen the side control panel, uh, that I showed, that Andrew's talking about. Go into the menu, turn it on, and click the info button to toggle back and forth and see what the differences are. You may prefer one over the other. You may not like the super control panel. You may prefer the older style, but it's basically the older style menu. So pre super control panel, that was uh, they call it the live view panel or something. I don't know. Uh, and you're spot on, Raul. Annoyed I didn't know. Yeah, don't worry about it. Trust me, there's so many things that I probably still don't know that when uh, somebody's gonna ask me a question, I say, "Oh, I know that." You know who would know that though is that guy over at OM Systems, David. I forget his full name. I think his name is David. That guy knows everything. I mean, in depth. That guy's like a technical encyclopedia for OM system cameras. And Simjon says, yes, ZF would also be my choice for full frame, but so far I'm happy with my MFT cameras. They do what I want from. Yes. So yeah, I mean, I shoot side by side, time to time, my full frame, like Sony A7R5 and OM system cameras, more recently the OM3. And I'm really not seeing any difference in my photography. Let me put it that way. There's certainly differences in image quality. 60 megapixels is 60 megapixels, right? Uh, but the end result, the final images like that I post on Instagram and Flickr, if I didn't put the EXIF data there, how would you know which camera I shot with, right? So if we look at this again, this is the OM system camera, OM system camera, Sony. There really that much difference between these? This is OM system, Sony. Now this one you can tell because the depth of field is shallower, right? The background here is a little bit, it almost looks like a backdrop. It doesn't look like it's part of the scene. But but I like the colors and the color sign I was getting from the OM system just without doing too much work. You could ultimately get the colors to anywhere you want with any camera, but you can see the Sony's just a little bit flatter, a little bit less contrast here versus say the OM system camera is a little warmer, a little richer color. And a lot of this has to do with processing. I was having trouble getting the processing consistent between between images to begin with, but you know, don't worry about it. Don't full frame is overhyped. It really is. Full frame, APS-C, medium format, whatever. Camera technology is just overhyped in general. You're perfectly fine with any camera within the last 10 years, I'd say, even 15 years. I mean, heck, I still like my Nikon DF is 13 years old. I still love the that I get from it. The oldest digital camera I use, say, like my uh, probably my Leica LX5, not Leica, Panasonic Lumix LX5. That takes fabulous I love the colors. the kinda images that I get from it and how compact and small it is. So just enjoy the gear that you have to the fullest extent and appreciate everything that it can do. And don't fall into the hype of new cameras and systems. I mean, I love it. I love new technology and testing things and, all of that. But when it comes to photography, these things really don't matter. What matters is your vision and your creative choices, how you see the world and how you capture it. And cameras play a very small role in that, right? Or which camera would play a very small role in that. Uh, the Mikey does not work as the diameter of the inside connection does not fit. Okay, I can see that. I can see. I don't know why they would make the diameters different. Should be standard with Micro Four Thirds, but I can see where if the diameter's off a little, it could be a problem. We're referring to the using the 1.4x teleconverter, the in combination with macro extension tubes, in combination with 60 millimeter macro lens. And been Olympus digital mirrorless since 2005. It's been almost all cameras. Yeah. Retro dials are pretty, but finger dials are more economic. Hey, Angel, how are you? Um, yeah, it's all preference, right? I can go either way. I prefer PASM dials. I think that's more appropriate for a digital camera than using shutter speed dials and aperture rings. But ultimately, they both work. They both do the same thing. And Andrew says, my M1 Mark II can be temperamental and often thinks it's in program mode without the mode dial being changed and the swap in and out of AP mode sorts of. There are other problems too. So I thought might be being a pain in the arse again. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, the mode dial, like on my EM10 Mark II, it's getting flaky like that. I'll turn it on, and it'll think it's in a different mode than it's actually set to. So I'll just jiggle the dial a little bit. So it's basically a switch, switching. I don't know what the part's called in electronics, but it's just uh, circular switch, and the contacts get dirty. So either the contacts are getting dirty, there's an electrical like mini arc going between the A and the P or the P and the AP, that kind of thing, right? Just enough to trick the camera into thinking that you changed the mode dial. So I don't know if you can get some like electrical contact clean, spray it in there and maybe clean it. I don't do that. Do it at your own risk. But I wouldn't be surprised if, that's all it is. And not or maybe the switch is just going bad and there's no fixing it with any kind of cleaner. I don't know, but I suspect it's just getting oxidized and creating a slight arc or short circuit in the switch itself that's causing it. I chose Olympus for the colors. They are beautiful. Yes, I agree. I'm always very happy with the colors that I get from my OM system and Olympus cameras. Always happy. Not always happy with Fuji or Sony. I would say I'm always happy with my Nikon colors as well. They're a little warmer, kind of magenta kind of look. But what I don't like is when things kind of tint kind of greenish. So I'm always pushing the tint slider to magenta a little. The Fuji I found to be more pastel-like in certain film simulators, like the Provia feels a little pastel to me, especially with skin tone. Um, and the Sony has this just greenish or faded, sort of muted look to it. But I don't shoot a lot with the Sony, so I can't say exactly what it is about the color sign that camera that makes me prefer the OM system color sign. But that said, it's digital, so you can change it to whatever you want. Create a, color profile for it using, like a passport color checker, which is easily done in Lightroom, XO. Once you create a standard color profile, you can get the colors to be more accurate, and then from once you have a standard color profile, you can make slight changes to it. If you wanna get into the fine print of colors, you need one of these and a lot of patience. And Tim John says the only moment I had some trouble with my MFT was when I shot the band rehearsal recently dimly lit room. The autofocus was hunting, and I had to push the ISO 4000. But for outside, it was great. Okay, so a little tip: use if it's an older Olympus camera, you want to use Live View Boost. So use Live View Boost. If it's a newer Olympus camera, you want to use night vision. When you're in low light, use Live View Boost and use uh, night vision. And you could also try simulated optical viewfinder, SVF, or I don't know what they call it, but simulated optical view, so it's SOV. Um, you can try that mode as well if the night vision or not the night vision, but live view boost on one, not on two, on one, live view boost on one, you should get better autofocus. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, the autofocus in the Olympus and OM system cameras is tied to the live view screen or EVF. So whatever you see on the EVF, somehow the autofocus system is seeing the same thing. Maybe it's part of the image recognition, like face detect. I don't know what the science and algorithm is behind this rationale, but you will find the camera will focus better when you're in night vision mode and live view on. Live view on, I think the readout speed tends to slow down also. So just be conscious of that as well. But the final image, whatever your exposure settings are not going to be affected. The only thing that's going to change is what you see in the EVF and on the live view and what the autofocusing algorithm can. Somehow these things are tied together. So try that. Okay. I still have the E5 and love the pics from it. It's just so far behind with autofocus IBIS now that OM1 easily outperforms an old 5. The old E5 is old. Um, I used a 60 millimeter 2.8 macro lens made by Olympus. Close focus capability with this lens. What does everybody else recommend for tighter shots of insects? You could try macro extension tubes. That's going to affect the optical quality. I know everybody says there's no lens, so that's the best way to improve the magnification of a lens. But when you push a lens away from the lens mount, you are changing the optical properties of that lens, and there's going to be a slight degradation in image quality, almost to the point that it's negligible. But since we're talking about macro and very, very fine details, you will see a difference, especially if you're going to be cropping in even more. But extension tubes are probably the best way for the 60 macro. The second way is to put a diopter on the front. A very common one is made by Raynox. I think it's called the Raynox 250. Nissi makes some. I bought a generic one made by Newer. This one here. Oh, this one I found to be excellent. It's only $40. It's on my, if you go to robtrek.com/deals, you'll find this on that page. It's 40 bucks. It comes with a couple of ring adapters. You just pinch this and it clips to the front of the lens. So Just to give you an example, like on my Lumix here, it just snaps on the front with these clips. So I like this. The image quality is excellent. I found this to be better than mentioned. The only downside is you lose basically infinity focus, and your range of focus is very limited, probably to about this much, where you can only focus about this much in total, particularly with macro. So it's a little tricky to use, but I've gotten decent results with it. I've posted a few images, I believe. See, yeah, here's one where I used my 12 to 40 Pro and this little diopter thing on the front, and I'm getting basically this is basically a 1-to-1 magnification. I think I can get as high as 2-to-1 magnification with this. And focus bracketing works and everything. All your features will still work, but in a very limited fashion. So that you have to experiment a lot to get a feel for how the camera's gonna behave when you have this attached. Let's see. Here's another one I did. This here is about 1-to-1 uh, as well. So when I get my when I get my 60 millimeter macro lens in, I'm gonna try this adapter on it, see what I get. Here's another one, focus bracketing and, in-camera focus stack together with the macro lens adapter. I try to put all the information in the description of every image that I post on Instagram. 'Cause I use the Instagram primarily as an educational platform, for referencing different kinds of images and different lenses and camera combinations, different, lighting techniques. Like, so if you look at this one, you'll see that I just used one flash in a 22-inch octabox, and then all of these settings here. Oh, sorry. So here, like in this image here, uh, flash in a 22-inch octabox, and then all of the settings. And I really try to do that as much as I can. Like this one, there's no data, just the exit data. Okay. So I'm picky. I hate artifacts. Yeah, I know you do a lot of macro, Eric. I'll get better at it. I don't do it very often, but once I get my 60 macro lens, I'm gonna try and do some more. And Randy says, after using Nikon full frame, just did not like processing raw files, maybe because I'm so used to Olympus files. Yeah. Yeah, the Nikon files were just a tad warmer. Once you correct for white balance, though, I thought the colors were still very good, very close to OM systems. Back in the day, I shot Olympus Minolta film cam, still have the OM1 and XD. Oh, the XD11 and X700, very nice cameras. And of course, the OM1 film cameras, also excellent. I have an SRT 101 Minolta. I have a Maxim 4 Minolta, a Maxim 7000 Minolta, and I have the OM1, OM2, OM2N, OM2S film cameras. I know I have too many. Andrew Banner says Raynox. Thank you. Maybe I pronounced that wrong, but yes, Raynox is very good. Uh, that's very similar to this, but it screws on. So you have to buy the right filter size or get step rings. I like this one because I can just squeeze this and it'll fit a range of lenses and it just snaps on and I can just take it off very quickly. And sometimes says the Nisi close-up lens is great. Used it with my 40 to 152.8, but sold again because I'm not really interested in macro, but the quality was good. I think it's around 100 pounds. Yeah. So it's not cheap. The Nisi and the Raynoxes are quite a bit more expensive than this one. But I found this one to be very good. I don't have the option to compare them side by side, but I can't imagine being any better than this because I've pixel peeped the heck out of this and it's really good. And my Raynox 250 has the same snap-on. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I've only seen the screw-on type Raynox, but that's cool. That's good to know. I mean, if you buy a Raynox or Nissy, you don't have to question the quality. It's gonna be there. Something like this, you pay 40 bucks for it, you might be like, "What am I gonna get for 40 bucks?" Because there are even cheaper ones. There's like $20 ones that screw on, those are crap. Don't buy those. But this one, very, very good. I'm very impressed with this one. Uh, there's a couple of different brands of this, but what you wanna look for is you see this little symbol on it, and then sort of this kind of print on the side, and this design overall, it's the same thing, right? Regardless of brand. But I found the cheapest one, $40, which includes 2 different snap-on adapters and, for different ring sizes. I think it'll go up to 72 millimeters. Don't quote me on that, but there's 2 different ring sizes. You just unscrew the lens, and I think this lens is, forget how many millimeters this 40, whatever. You can screw this directly onto your lens, same ring size, but, you get these adapters, and then you screw the lens into. Okay. Very quiet today in the chat. I mean, I'm all caught up. Either I'm getting faster, you guys are not chatting quite as much as I used to, or there's nobody here. I don't even know how many people are here, but um, not that it matters. I'm always happy to talk to anyone that's willing to sit. I was talking to David today in the car. God, we talked about everything, mostly photography. Talked about UFO, life on other planets, just stuff, right? TV shows on Netflix. Um, I watched. I can recommend a new one on Netflix. Called Weak Hero. That's a good one. And it's basically about high school bullying, but it's really good. And let's see. Uh, that's the only new one I watched recently. I just finished another one that I liked. I can't remember now. It's been a week. Well, after about a week, I can't remember a lot of stuff. Lucifer, I think, is still my favorite of all time series on Netflix. Gotta be Lucifer. I'm an old George Zucker horror films binge. Oh, okay. Don't know who that is, but that's cool. And Jason says, "Hi, Rob. Wonder why Robin said in his recent video that autofocus eye detect on OM3 was not that great. This is literally the thing I'm finding great on the camera." Well, I think it's relative to his Nikon and Sony camera. Now, I can speak to the Sony because I have the Sony A7 or 5, and uh, compared to I mean, there's so little difference. I think to me personally, it's so far. I don't do a lot of portrait shooting, right, with faces and eye detect. I do plenty of bird photography, and it's fine for that. But the face detect, I've only just started doing that with other people, like the shots I showed earlier in the thing. And with good light, I haven't tried in low light. I know there's an issue in low light that Robin's talked about that I've demonstrated. But for the most part, in good light, like when I was outdoors using flash, uh, all the shots were in focus. Now, I will say I didn't take that many shots yesterday, but last week when I did a shoot, I took 138 shots of this one lady. 28 were out of focus, and part of that is because I was using continuous shutter, so I was shooting at like 25 frames per second for some of them for a couple of bursts. I didn't capture 25 frames, but maybe I was shooting at 10 frames per second because I didn't get that many shots. But for a couple of the frames, I was shooting at 10 frames per second, continuous shutter. So maybe there was a couple of frames there that the camera needed to catch up to autofocus. And then there was a lot of distracting elements around the face. Also, she had a very, very dark complexion, and she was covering her face a lot with her hands. So a lot of the shots that were missed were that. However, there were a few shots that the OM3 should not have missed. If it didn't miss by a lot, but just a little bit, when you punch in, it's just a little bit out of focus. And that's what Robin was. I shot the Sony A7R5 side by side with a third-party lens, so I have to give that caveat. Uh, that camera struggled to detect the face as well when I was using wide area focusing, like I was on, because I was using full all points on the OM3, and I was using basically all points on A7R5. And A7R5 was struggling to find the face in the eye. So on the A7R5, I switched to uh, area mode. I think they call it area, but it's basically a box. And then I would move the box over the face, and then, yeah, it picked up the eye, this. And every shot was 100%, 100% in focus, right on the eye, once I put that box on the face. But when I didn't have the box on the face, sometimes it, not sometimes, but a lot of the times it was like focusing on everything but the face. But there were a lot of challenges there. See if I can pull it up for you. So in this series, let me pull up the where the red dot. How did I mark these? I know I marked these. Maybe I marked them. Well, let me let me show you, give you an example where this was the scene, right? So I'll cut the camera, any camera, some slack for a scene like this to be able to detect the eye and the face. Because there's a lot of distracting elements around, very high contrast for the camera to get confused with. It may even see a face in patterns. But this is the kind of scenario. This is the OM3. Most of the time, it's perfectly fine. It locked on, no problem, right onto the face and the eye. But out of 138 of shots like this, 28 were misfocused. Shots like this one here is just slightly out of focus. Let's pick another one. This one is perfect. See this one? Slightly out of focus. So I think I tagged them in Lightroom. That's why I'm not seeing the tags here. But I tagged everything focus, out of focus. And then I counted them 28 out of 138. But, it's a shot like this, the camera should not have missed. Because when you look at the overall scene, yeah, there's a lot of distracting elements, but clearly there's two faces. Should not have missed a scene like this. So this is what Robin was referring to. And I didn't take any shots with the Sony for that particular scene because the Sony was frustrating me a little bit for the autofocus, believe it or not. But again, it's a third-party lens, so that may have been part of the reason it was struggling a little bit. I don't know. I'll have to do some comparison because I have some native lenses for the Sony. And oh, Marco's here. Hey, Marco, how are you? I'm really enjoying my Netflix. Thank you so much. Marco paid a year of Netflix for me. So generous of you. So I'm back to watching. I took a month off of Netflix to see if I could live without it because I was going to cancel it. I only had like a week or two left on it, and and Marco was, you know, very gracious to so now I'm back to watching and I'm loving it. And Marco Polo was awesome on Netflix, but they stopped before season 3. Oh, okay, I haven't seen that one. And my guilty pleasure TV shows are bad American cop shows. Currently watching SWAT and The Rookie, entertaining in a bad way of yeah, I get it. I watch B and C, D movies time to time, and Reacher was great. Yeah, I finished off Reacher. Reacher was really good. You know, a really good show you guys should watch is called not the movie, but the TV show, The Patriot. It's on Amazon. Excellent, excellent show. Well, just watch the first 2 episodes. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch the rest. Pretty much the same from there. But if you like the first episode or kind of like it, watch the second one. And if you liked it, then go ahead and continue. If you didn't like it after 2, don't waste your time. Not your style of show, basically, right? Which you can probably say for most shows, except very long running. Some shows, they don't get traction until the 3rd or 4th season. But, these shows, there's only 2, 3 seasons. If you don't like the first couple episodes, you don't have to waste your time to but I'm gonna get 3 to 1 and 4 to 1 magnification. Ooh, you might be able to do that with 60 macro. I'm gonna try with extension tubes and teleconverters and diopters. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But there's a question of, you know, how much effort is it gonna take to do that with a 60 macro lens versus just buying a 5x macro. I think TT Artisans or 7 Artisans has a 5x macro lens that's manual focus, doesn't do infinity focus. You know, it has a lot of limitations, but we'll see. I won't know till I get my and I shoot my YouTube vids on the M1 III and 120 f2. Really? That's tight. I mean, that's a very narrow field of view. I set it to manual focus and then the lens to infinity. How can I check for best focus? Hmm. The best way, I mean, I'm not familiar with that lens. If it's a very sharp lens, you know, well, it doesn't matter. The best way is just punch in focus and just look through the EVF and manually adjust it. Perfect. Focus peaking works too for just on the fly, but it's not really very good for critical focus unless the lens is very sharp. If it's a very sharp lens, you can set the peaking to low, set the color to whatever works best for the scene. And if it's a very sharp lens, you can get away with just focus peaking. And I like that better than magnify. But uh, magnify is the best way to check. And the focus hit rate is pretty poor. What are you referring to? Not sure. If you're talking about the OM3 and what I just talked about, yeah, I guess that would be poor. It's missing 28 out of 138. That's like 20%, right? But that was a tough scene to autofocus on. But yeah, it's missing about 20%. I don't know. I didn't do A/B testing between my A7R5 and OM3 directly, right? This was just a quick shoot, like a 2-hour shoot I did, and I was just swapping between cameras in between trying to mentor this person on flash photography. But someone had asked me the same question last week because Robin brought it up in his stream, and I said, "Okay, well, let me look at my last shoot and see what I got." And then that's what I got, 20% miss. I would say 10 probably out of that 20%, some of them I'll cut the camera some slack. It would be hard for any camera. But there was probably at least 10% there, like 10 shots that not have missed, you know? It just shouldn't miss a shot like that. Awesome at Rob Trek. My pleasure. Just popping in. Have family here for the holiday. Okay, yeah, don't let me take you away from your family, man. You know how important that is. That's important. It's the 12 millimeter. Oh, 12 millimeter f2. I was like 122. Okay, that's a very sharp lens. So but it's so wide angle. I probably use magnify rather than focus peaking, just because of the wide field. I would use the magnify feature. For tighter lenses, 25 millimeter, 35, 45, 50. Those I would use probably. I would be comfortable with just focus peaking, but ultimately magnify is the best. I'm thinking of selling my 12 to 100 f4 Pro as I don't use it. Selling that and the X would make it straight trade for my OM1. Yeah, if you're not, I mean, it's a great lens, but if you're not using it, just sell it and get the OM1 because you're more of a telephoto guy, right? Or super wide. Now, this lens arguably is wide, but it's not super telephoto. It's just telephoto. Okay. And Ian says, camera question. I thought I regret selling my Pen F and buying an O. Not for a moment. What do you think? Yeah, I don't miss my Pen F. I mean, I still have it, so how can I miss it? But I don't miss using it now. I have my own three. I like the Pen F. In fact, up until recently, if you were to ask me what camera, if I could only have one camera, my answer was always the Pen F. Always. Now, if I could have one camera, it would be the OM3. Save for the couple of exceptions. If I didn't have to do work professional, like paid work, I might I would have to say it's the OM1 because it has a couple extra things that paid work a little bit better, but, dual card slot, right? Clearly, but, yeah, I don't miss the pen using the pen thing. Shame you had to sell the Pen F though, such a great camera, but I've considered selling mine. I mean, I have 2, right? Because I was worried about if I ever lost or broke one, I have a backup. So, but I could probably comfortably sell one of them. One of them is probably like 200 shots on it, and the other one is, like, beat up. But I could probably sell the beat up one and keep the one in mint condition. I don't know, if anyone's interested in my Pen F, let me know. Send me an email. I'll have to think about it. Make me an offer. I could use the money, trust me. Let's see. I have the 12 to 42A Pro, which I use all the time. Yeah, yeah, I have the 12 to 40 Pro and the 35 to 100 8. So that covers the same thing as the 12 to 100, but at f2.8. So it's better for event photography, light and and your audio scuffed? I've listened on the PC and I was telling it keeps cutting out. Yes, I need to put this up closer. Sorry. And let me turn off one of the filters. Where's my mic? There. All right, so I have a noise gate on. It's probably a little bit too aggressive, so it's cutting out. But now you're gonna hear everything, background noise and all. But thanks for letting me know. Audio keeps dropping out intermittently, so it should be better now. I think it was the noise gate filter that I had turned on. I meant to turn it off for this stream because I did notice that in the last stream myself. Okay, and let's see. No other questions there. And I can talk a little bit about my experience this morning, and I'm gonna go out and shoot some portraits tonight that I need to get ready for. So actually, maybe I should call it here. So, because I have to pack up some lighting and other gear. I don't have to pack up much though. It's pretty straightforward. I just have one octobox, one flash, one trigger, and the OM3 with a 12 to 40 Pro. That's all I need. I bring a bunch of other stuff, like maybe I'll put the quarter mist filter on, and uh, and then I got to bring the Sony along just for because I'm testing a new lens. I got to do a video review on it soon. Um, it's the TT Artisan 75 millimeter f2. It's a good lens and it's cheap, like $189 or something for a 75 f2 prime. It's really good. Uh, uh, but that's all really need. I could pack that in one little messenger bag and go. What makes the overall setup kind of heavy is, bringing the pseudo sandbags that I have, which are to weigh the one light stand down. I had been just using my bag to weigh the light stand down, but it's a little bit more it's a little more secure using sandbags. Okay, so the audio is good now, but now you can hear me swallowing, right? My water. I hate that sound. When I'm watching people stream and they drink and then you can hear them swallowing. I ugh. Just little thing, we all have little things that annoy us, right? These things annoy me. Um, I don't need the XMPB as a 12 to 100 for about 800 used. Oh, you didn't hear me swallowing. Okay, that's good. But I tried to swallow it slowly so it wouldn't gulp down. But yeah, and I need to watch my weight. I'm starting to put a little weight back on. I'm so vain. And look how red my eyes are. I'm gonna be in trouble tonight. I'm so tired. Okay. Yeah, use a bag of rocks. Make it rock solid. Yep. But like I said, that's you have to bring the rocks. I'm not gonna just randomly find rocks in a parking lot, but out in the field, maybe. But even then it's hard to find rocks big enough a lot of times where I live. But we're shooting at like a local park. Local park's not gonna have any rocks like that around. Oh man, I wish I could take an hour nap, but I have to leave in about 30 minutes because it's about a 40-minute drive for me to get there. I have to start at 5. So it means I have about 20 minutes to pack, which is no big deal. Just fresh batteries, fresh memory card, OM3, 12 to 40 Pro, Godox V100, 22-inch octobox, and a light stand with the S2 at bracket adapter. And the sandbags in the car already. The light stand's in the car already. And quarter 20 mist filter. And I'm good to go. And then I'll just throw this in. Uh, I'm throwing this in just to for the review. I know most of you here don't care about Sony or the Sony lenses. That's why whenever I review a Sony lens, it gets like no views. Actually, a lot of my videos hardly get any views anymore. So that's okay. For those of you that do watch, I really appreciate it. I appreciate all your support. I got to review this battery charger too. This is they just got to start making stuff for Micro Four Thirds. It's hard to find. Like I got this because I have a Canon, right? So I can use this for my Canon camera, but this is gear that I'm not going to use very often. My go-to gear is always Micro Four Thirds, is always OM Systems, and all these other things are just they're They're okay, but they don't improve my photography one bit. I can tell you that. My photography is mediocre at best, and cameras just make no difference ultimately. So, okay, I'm going to call it here. So, thank you so much for everyone for being here today and for all your support through the donations, the memberships, the coffees. They're all greatly appreciated. Also, check out the retreat event. That's going on May 2nd. I'll be there as well with four awesome OM system ambassadors. And I will be sharing the photos from tonight's shoot with some new models. I don't know who they're not quote unquote models, right? They're just people this other photographer knows that are willing to get their picture taken. But it's good for me because of all the people I've been shooting lately, they're all willing to come back and let me shoot with them again. And in that situation, I'll be able to shoot uh, with my own creative vision for how I want to take the photos, right? I'm more of a, right now, I'm still kind of a beginner portrait guy where I'm doing the standard, perfectly usable portrait, soft lighting, maybe some backlighting, key lighting. You got key light, rim light, fill light, standard stuff. So it's going to take me a little while to develop a style or create a vision for my portrait photography. But generally, you'll notice that most of my photography, if you want to look at style, is I like to be very close, fill the frame, and try to capture some interesting moment. If it's sports, action, wildlife, if it's still life, try to capture balance and symmetry and complementary colors. And if it's architectural, again, I look for lines, angles, triangles, symmetry, things like that. And shooting wide, shooting tight, all these different things for composition. I have a very distinct approach to a lot of things, but for portrait photography, I don't have any approach. All I have right now is your stock, perfectly usable portraits, soft light, key light, rim light, fill light, maybe background light, maybe using a Fresnel lens for harsh light, soft, stuff you can find 1,000 YouTube videos on, and they all look exactly the same. My portrait photography is nothing special, but it's a great learning experience for me because I am good with flash, setting power, mixing ambient light, positioning the flash. I'm very good with settings and getting the look that I want. I know exactly what reflectors are doing, octoboxes versus strip boxes versus, umbrellas. I have a very good feel for all these different types of lighting. So I can make a perfectly usable portrait, but I don't have any style. So that's what I'm going to try and work on this year is developing a style for my portrait photography. And hopefully you guys will join me along that journey this year. I look forward to talking to all of you again. I'll be back on Tuesday for another photo chat and gear shopping day. Like Tuesdays, I like to shop for stuff and talk about. And if you have any questions about gear, Tuesday's the day to do it. But we also do regular photo chat like I did today. So thanks for being here today. I'll see you again soon.